Welcome to Talk Lytical TV. I'm your host, Lytical J, and I'm back with another logical perspective.
We begin tonight with a developing story. Orlando police arrested a 10-year-old girl for murder.
WESH 2's Anika Hope is outside the Juvenile Justice Center, where we're told the girl is in custody now. Anika, the state attorney's office released a statement earlier this evening.
Her office said they have not made any charging decisions yet. It turns out this state attorney has made her concerns about kids and arrests clear before as a candidate. A note, we are not naming this girl as she is only 10 years old. Right now, police say a 10-year-old is in custody for murder. Orlando police say the girl's mom got in a fight with another woman late at night on Memorial Day at an apartment complex off Mercy Drive. Police said the girl's mom, Lucretia Isaac, punched LaShawn Rogers, who hit back. Isaac reportedly threw her daughter a bag with a gun inside. According to the police, the 10-year-old girl fired 2 shots, killing Rogers. We spoke with a relative of the woman who died, who didn't want us to show her face.
It could have been self-defense. Your child should have been in the house at this time of night, or even while you dealing with anything.
Still holding the gun, the girl reportedly said, "She shouldn't have hit my mama." Tuesday, police arrested the elementary student and charged her with second-degree murder. State Attorney Monique Worrell's office reacted just a few hours later, said no charging decisions were made yet. Quote, "We anticipate that whatever charges we eventually file, if any, will ensure she receives the interventions necessary to address her behavior, help her change and grow, and ensure the public's safety going forward." As a candidate for office, Worrell spoke in a WESH 2 Commitment 2020 debate.
I believe that the minimum age of arrest should be 14, and I believe very much and very strongly that there is a school-to-prison pipeline.
Tuesday, her office said they will consider the girl's age. Here's how candidate Worrell looked at very young arrest in 2020.
Arrest, prison, jail, those are traumatic experiences that significantly scar our children for the future.
Again, those comments from Monique Worrell are from 2020. That 10-year-old girl is expected to be seen before a judge tomorrow morning. We're live in Orlando. Anika Hope, WESH 2 News.
All right, so let's jump in. I saw this case about a week ago, and I kind of wanted to wait a little bit just to see if they were going to drum up charges against this 10-year-old girl. And I also wanted to get my hands on the arrest record just to kind of go through exactly what witnesses said and kind of compare that in contrast to what was reported on the news. So I have the arrest complaint here. It's heavily redacted, but I think it gives a little highlight, a little more than what the news says, because it's like with stories, you can hear it one way and then perceive it however, and then deliver it back another way. So that's why I like to get these documents and just kind of comb through them to see what was being said. Now, I'm not saying that everybody's recollection is going to be the same recollection, but as you're going through, you can kind of see a lot of similarities on what happened that night. All right, so enough said. Let's jump in on this second page of this 5-page arrest thing, and I'm gonna start where they're kind of talking about how this all started on Memorial Day. So it says blank stated he is blank, and him and blank is going to be a lot of blanks, so forgive me. Okay, so blank stated he is blank, and blank were cooking outside on the grill in the rear of the building in celebration of Memorial Weekend. Blank and blank live in building blank, which is located in the north corridor of the building. Blank was approached by a female later identified as Isaac. So her name is Lucretia is the mom of the 10-year-old girl, Lucretia Isaac, and begun an argument. So she started this whole thing. She began an argument over a recent dispute between the two. Blank noticed Isaac was intoxicated. So here we go. A drunk person, being strong and mighty, want to confront someone. All right. While she was yelling at Blank, behind Isaac was blank, blank, blank. Observed the Blank wearing a sleeveless tank top and holding a beige in color purse. While Blank and Isaac were standing in the breezeway, Isaac initiated a physical confrontation by punching the victim. After the first punch was thrown, the victim retaliated and punched Isaac. At this time, Torito stepped in to break up the fight. So maybe Torito was one of the neighbors. That person stepped in to break up the fight. Blank grabbed Rogers and they started walking back towards their apartment. While both Blank, the victim, and Isaac continued to verbally argue. Blank could not hold on to Blank as she turned around in attempts to re-engage Isaac. Okay, so a neighbor is attempting to engage to pull the victim away from Isaac. As she's being pulled away, they're still kind of arguing. That person is unable to hold the victim back, so she turns around and attempts to continue to argue with Isaac. As Blank turned around, Blank observed Blank holding a black firearm and discharged 1 to 2 shots towards the victim. She immediately fell to the ground and Blank observed Blank holding a She immediately fell to the ground and Blank attempted to tend to Blank gunshot wound while Blank was still holding the firearm. So I'm assuming while the child was still holding the firearm, Blank yelled, "She shouldn't have hit my mama." Okay, so the little girl yelled, "She shouldn't have hit my mama." Blank stated Isaac grabbed the firearm from the daughter, and Isaac then pointed the firearm at the center of Blank's chest. Blank described. All right, moving on to page, that would be the continuation. Looking into the barrel of the firearm as Isaac pointed it towards him, Blank raised his hand up to show he was not a threat, and he retreated to the north corridor of the building. As he stated, he was in fear for his life of the possibility of being shot by Isaac. Moments later, Blank observed Isaac and Blank enter their residence of building apartment blank blank recalls seeing Isaac holding the firearm as she left the breezeway and entered her apartment. Once police arrived, Blank guided officers to Rogers and told officers of the location of Isaac and Blank in the building blank apartment blank. Blank observed officers detain Isaac and Blank, and he positively identified them as the persons involved in the shooting. All right, so then it says Blank is the neighbor to Blank was outside of her residence. So this is another neighbor. Was outside of her residence and was approached by Isaac asking about Blank and a previous argument over a social media post. Blank noticed this confrontation and told Blank to go inside of her apartment to avoid any unnecessary involvement. Blank entered her apartment and continued observing through the peephole. Ashley saw Isaac. What is that, a name that's supposed to be blocked out? Ashley saw Isaac and Blank in a verbal argument, which turned physical when Isaac punched Blank. Knew a fight would ensue, so she exited her apartment and observed Blank, which is the victim, punch Isaac in the face. Isaac took off her backpack and gave it to blank blank. I'm assuming the daughter. Ashley saw blank, the daughter, rummaging through the backpack but did not think anything of it. Isaac and the victim squared up for a fight and a few punches were exchanged. Blank then heard a gunshot and saw the victim fall to the ground. Blank saw blank was lifeless after falling and did not see blank make any movements. So she didn't see the victim make any movements when she fell to the ground. Blank looked at blank and saw her holding a small black pistol. Blank yelled, "You fucking with my mama." After shooting blank, Isaac took the firearm away from her daughter. Isaac then aimed the firearm at blank, who was on the ground. So in the previous thing that I read, she's corroborating what the guy said, that as he was tending to the victim on the ground, Isaac aimed the firearm at him and walked around the victim's body. Blank believed Isaac had the ability and the capacity to shoot blank again after she already sustained a gunshot wound. Blank observed Isaac and blank, her daughter, walk back towards their residence in building blank. According to blank, Isaac walked back to her residence with blank and showed no remorse or care for the injuries sustained by the victim. When officers arrived, blank guided officers to building blank, observed officers take into custody, and identified her as the shooter. Okay? Alright, so let's move on to the rest. Blank stated she is familiar with Isaac and blank as residents in blank for over 2 years but did not recall their names. Blank described Isaac as a black female, yada yada yada. Ashley described, see, this police department fucked up. And then they're trying to redact people's names and in protection of the witnesses and the 10-year-old girl. I get that, but come on, you're fucking up here. Ashley described blank as a black female, blank years of age, chubby, wearing an unknown shirt, yada yada yada. During the shooting, blank believed another female friend was with Isaac. This is the part that's really interesting to me. But the female friend fled the area after the shooting. Blank does not know the name of Isaac's female friend. Don't forget about that female friend. We're going to pull up the statement from the 10-year-old. I'm still at awe that the cops think that this is going to fly. Whether they charge her with murder or not, you can't question a 10-year-old. That, I believe that's against the law. But let's not forget about the female friend. Okay, so they say, during the shooting, blank believed another female friend was with Isaac, but the female friend fled the area after the shooting. Blank does not know the name of Isaac's female friend, but is aware Isaac and her female friend are known to consume alcoholic beverages together. So they are already painting this mom as an alcoholic. That's what it sounds like. Yeah. Alright, so blank advised she was standing outside of her residence just north of the breezeway of building blank heard a gunshot, so she walked towards the sound of the origin. Why do people walk towards the sound of gunshots? Like, I'm going the opposite direction. Are you kidding me? Blank observed Isaac, who yelled, "You done shot the lady." So the mom was yelling to her daughter, like, "Oh shit, you done shot this lady." Like, what the hell? Like it's all coming to her now at that point. Blank then heard blank yelled, "You shouldn't have messed with my mother." So the little girl, I guess, repeats this again, that the victim should have never messed with her mom. Blank saw Isaac take the firearm from the daughter and walk towards their residence. While Isaac was holding a bag, blank pointed at Isaac's residence and identified the residence as building blank. All right, so this is where it gets a little interesting to me. This is where they interview the 10-year-old. All right, so Detective Rogers, I don't know about you, because there's no way you should be, like, interviewing a 10-year-old. But let's go. So, you have the theatrics of, what the mom looked like and what she was wearing that night. So then the affiant met with blank in interview room. So this is the daughter in the interview room. Detective Rogers and spoke with blank, who was able to articulate the difference between a truth and a lie. All right, a 10-year-old should be able to do that, I would assume. Maybe give or take. Every 10-year-old is different, so maybe. Blank said she was in the blank grade and was able to read and write. Your affiant read Miranda Constitution rights to blank. As your affiant read each individual Miranda constitutional rights to blank, your affiant broke down every question into details and had blank tell your affiant what each right meant to her. Really? Blank was able to articulate in her own words what each right meant and stated she understood her rights. Blank stated she was willing to speak with your affiant. During the interview, blank provided a story of her account of what occurred. Blank said, blank, Isaac was drunk. So she's telling him her mother was drunk and wanted to approach the victim to speak woman to woman. You cannot speak woman to woman when you're drunk, okay? Isaac told blank to stay inside of the residence while Isaac goes outside. So her mother told her to stay inside. Blank decided to, and she decided to follow. Blank and Isaac approached the victim. According to blank, Isaac's adult female friend, parentheses NOI, I have no idea what that is. I don't know if that's her initials. I don't know. The female friend was standing next to blank during the argument between Isaac and the victim. Blank said the friend was holding Isaac's firearm. Blank observed blank holding an unknown object and she hit her mother with the object. Blank was unsure of what the object was, but believed the victim struck her mother over the head with the object and cut her mother's head. Blank then observed blank, the victim, hold a rock in her hand while in the argument with her mother. Blank heard the victim say she will bring her family to jump her mother. When blank heard this, she said she became angry due to having anger issues. Blank pulled the firearm away from Isaac's friend and aimed it above blank's head. Blank stated she shot one time and saw the victim fall down. Blank knew she struck the victim in the head, and blank stated she was aware the victim was deceased after the shooting. According to blank, she shot above the victim's head because she was in fear of the victim, Isaac, and her mother being hit by the victim. After the shooting, Isaac's friend, the friend took the firearm from blank, then ran away from the area. Blank denied the firearm being in the residence at the apartment. And the very last one is the mother. And of course, what does she do? We attempted to interview Isaac and she invoked her Miranda Constitution rights to a lawyer prior to questioning. Photos were taken of Isaac and I did not observe any cuts or injuries on Isaac. She was asked if she was hurt or had any cuts, in which she denied having any injuries. And of course, all of the theatrics that they do, they're going to go down to the medical examiner and stuff like that. All right, so here's where things get a little misconstrued. It was reported that, the mom gave her the bag and the gun and stuff like that. As she's saying it, that the mother's friend had the bag and she grabbed it from the friend. So, all of this is just very, very sad. It's sad to begin with. I see that, one of the witnesses on the news, which was the family member to the victim, is saying there's no way that they can claim that this is self-defense. Of course not. I mean, her mother started everything. Why she was outside that night, again, it appears that her mother tried to make sure that she stayed inside, but of course, I guess maybe knowing who, her mother really is, and that she was drunk, maybe, she wanted to protect her mother or just kind of see what was going on outside. I don't think that she had it in her mind that, I'm gonna grab this gun and do this before all of that happened. It was just something that she reacted to, seeing her mother being attacked. But this is so sad. I don't even know, what to say. I am glad that they're weighing in on whether they're going to be official charges, but why tell the news or any news correspondents that she's being charged with murder if you guys are not really sure if you guys are gonna officially charge her with that? And they also showed a clip from 2020 where that state attorney, or the person that was running to be the state attorney or the prosecutor for that county, Orange County, is saying that she doesn't believe in, charging children until the age of 14, yada, yada, yada. I mean, that's just a feeling. That doesn't mean that that's the law and that that's what's going to happen. I'm not sure if you guys remember an older case out of Florida with a little boy by the name of Lionel Tate. He was the very first child, youngest child ever to be charged with murder. And he was locked up for a very long time. Someone advocated for him and they released him after many years, and I don't think that he got the rehabilitation that he needed, because it wasn't even that long after he ended up back in prison, and now he's there doing the time for that actual charge from when he was a child. So I don't believe that this 10-year-old child should be charged anything. This is all on the mother. This is like absolutely bad parenting. When you're drunk, you're confronting people about things that are minuscule. Social media stuff, like how old are we have a child to live for. This is the example that you're setting out for her, this is incredible. Everything should be placed on the mom. Of course, she's being charged with a slew of charges, but of course they're not putting the murder on her because she didn't actually pull the trigger, but it should be placed on her. I don't have much to say more than I pray for this little girl, then she gets the healing that she needs. They're trying their best to hide her identity, which such is right, but in the day and age we live in, someone is going to release that information, and it won't be on this channel, but the world we live in, how people are. They're definitely going to put that information out there, or it's possibly already out there. But I do hope that she receives the love and care and therapy and a whole lot of slew of other things that I probably can't think of right now, jump down in my comments and let me know how you feel about this one. This is a sad one. I try to stay away from certain stories, but I also try to wait on them to develop a little bit just so I can get a little more angle and just kind of hear more. When things are reported the first time, sometimes it's not right. These same news people have to come back and clean it up, or they've got something wrong, or they said something that wasn't even what happened, you know? So again, jump down in my comments and let me know how you feel about this one. Please guys, could you just subscribe, comment, and like? Not the type that's gonna be here asking for Cash App ever. As long as I have this channel, you guys will not hear me get up here and ask for Cash App donations. To whoever who does it, no shade to you, but it's not my judge. I genuinely want you to come like the stories that I'm talking about, or discuss or debate some of the stories that I'm talking about, and genuinely fuck with what I'm saying. And that's that. Subscribing is free, liking is free, sharing is free. So please, if you can just do that for me, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking your time out to listen and watching my videos. Peace until next time.